All right, we are live with Geocaching Adam, Cache the Line, and David, Adventures with David. Thanks you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Right.
All right, how I like to start my show, I know you just talked about this, Jeff, just recently in your little live performance, but I want to know how you guys all got into caching and the whole YouTube bit.
Oh, feel free. Go ahead and start.
They're all pointing at you, David.
Me? Okay. Okay, I'll go first. Well, there used to be a website. Well, I think it's still active. It's called where'swilly.com and Where's George, and it's tracking bills. People write on the bills where the bill has been, and you just basically log the bill online. And I kept seeing this thing about geocaching because I guess natural travel of a bill, it doesn't go in a geocache. So people flag them as it's been in a geocache. So I'm thinking, what's a geocache? So obviously Google search, and I was hooked right from then. My ex-father-in-law had a GPS, and I wanted to borrow it, and the rest is history.
And how'd you get into YouTube part of it?
From watching a lot of other geo vloggers, of course, the geocaching vlogger, also GC Doc. He's one I used to watch a lot, and you know, geocaching vloggers started doing his geo challenges, and I went to Montreal with my kids for 3 days, and well, why not do videos of it? And I've been hooked ever since.
Now you guys got to pick out of YouTube who's going to go next.
That guy up there.
Go for it.
I've been geocaching since 2003.
Wow.
I always tell everybody I'm not a prolific geocacher, as most know. I just crossed 1,400 geocaches. So my brothers and my father, they were all geocaching, and for some reason they completely left me out of the loop. They were all going together and doing this new game, and so I borrowed one of their GPS receivers. It was the old yellow Garmin Trex there, and E-Trex, and I tried it out, and I was just hooked, and I just kept going. And then a few years ago, I was watching all the videos. I'm a big YouTube consumer, and I saw people like, you know, Vlogger and Jeff and all these other people, and I was like, you know, I think I can do that. So yeah, I started, took a little break, and now I've been back into it. I think the hardest part for me, though, is trying to find out where our niche is, so we're not all doing the same thing, you know. So right now, my videos are a little boring, I think, because they're just general everyday cache.
I know you just already mentioned this in your little video spiel, but you might have to say it again, Jeff.
Different audiences. Yeah, so I picked up a smartphone back in 2009, and I guess probably what most people do when they pick up a smartphone, they ask around, hey, what games, what apps should I get, and all that. And somebody said, hey, you should try out this geocaching thing. So I downloaded it and didn't play it, didn't use it for a few days. And then finally, when I was about over 200 kilometers away from home, I decided to open it up and check for my first cache. And that was May 2009. And yeah, the rest is history. For vlogging, though, I mean, that you know, I didn't really watch YouTube videos for the longest time of geocaching, because I guess it was, for me, it was more about community at that time, like going out with friends and following statistics and challenges and stuff. And I was taking a lot of photos because it was Instagram and whatnot, but I'd gone to Iceland and took a few little video clips, nothing significant, but I had taken those and made them into short little videos. And I guess that was kind of in the back of my mind, because then it was about a year later when I was out with Dave and Karen of Cache Canada, and we all went to find the oldest cache not the oldest cache, one of the Jasmer caches. What was it called again? it was getting archived. And so I think we all had the same idea. We wanted to document finding this cache because we were probably going to be some of the last people to find it. I think it was within a few days of its archival. And so we all took video, and we both ended up putting out the I'm not sure if it was Cache Canada's first video, but it was around the same time, and we both published that. So we got two perspectives of the same adventure, and it was really cool. Yeah.
Is there a reason why they archived it, or is it just something that was hard to maintain? Or
I think it was a property issue. It was allowed to be there. There was no problem with being there, but the owners, the landowners, had said that with the geocaches, they want to cycle them. There was something about they only wanted geocaches to be live now for, I think it was 2 years or something, and then they had to be archived for new ones to help keeping people come to the park, which is a really weird change in the in their private and their park regulations or trail regulations. But that meant that this one had to get archived. So it was kind of a little bit of a, I don't want to say controversy, but a lot of drama surrounding that, but it had to be done. So goodbye.
And you've been geocaching vlogging ever since.
Yep. And trying new things, different applications, different equipment. You know, it's all part of the growth and improvement over time. I think, as everybody realizes, everybody knows.
Like, going off of what Adam said, it's different because, like, there's me, Jamie, the three happy campers down here, even Amanda. There's a lot of times when we all have gotten the same cache, and people are like, wow, just to see the different perspective out of just you three finding the same cache is it's unreal. So
yeah. And like you said, it's like everybody has their own kind of perspective, their own manner of approaching a video, their own style, and it's really cool. Like I'd still watch if everybody came together and everybody did the same video about the same cache. It would still be fun to watch everybody's video because everybody's slightly different. Some people it's more about the person. Some people it's more about the adventure. Some people it's more about the cache. There's a huge variety in the vloggers, which is great, even if it's just the same cache.
And everybody's quality has gotten 100,000 times better than what it used to be. Because people used to go to a tree. Oh, there's the cache. All right, sign log, bye. And now, like, the way people are doing things with the stuff, it's amazing what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody kind of encourages each other, right? It's like there's a level of inspiration. You see what somebody else is doing, and you want to try to do something slightly different or a little better. And I think we all just kind of help each other get a little better, which is nice.
And we were talking about before the show, like how we all got together for the Doughnut Trail. And just to have us all get together and just see the different perspectives even during that, because a lot of us videoed the Doughnut Trail when we were on it, and just to see the different ways we each did the Doughnut Trail was its own, or it's special. So,
yep, that was a fun day.
That was a real fun day.
Oh yeah.
Was your summit probably one of your top 5 moments in caching, or
me or anybody?
Anybody.
I think it was a great thing to get all the, as many. I mean, we had vloggers from France and Canada and Australia. So we had all these vloggers from all over the world, and it was great just to have everybody in one place where we can brainstorm as well. And some of us did openings and closings for our videos, which is nice. So yeah, I would say it was right up there with one of the best things I've done with geocaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that summit at Cincinnati was like the first time really that there were so many vloggers in one place. So it was partly experimental to see what we could do, but there were so many ideas that went into that event, and we had a blast, and it was a lot of fun. And Geo-Woodstock in Texas, there were fewer vloggers, but we still had the summit and had that opportunity to hang out and cache together and meet each other in person, which is great.
Hopefully we can have a Canadian one next year. Canadian.
Yeah,
for sure.
There you go, Jeff. You could say how many bones you ate.
I should have weighted myself before and after. No, if you watch my video, what I wanted to do was get video at each of the Doughnut Trail stores. And I think I started out thinking, I'm going to eat a donut at each of them, buy a donut at each, and then eat it. And that didn't really work out. I ended up just doing one bite at each of them. And I can't remember how many stops there was. It like 18, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And
yeah, it's like 15 or 16. Or...
yeah, and these donuts are rich. Some of them are huge, and some of them are all sugar. Some are cream. It was crazy. So I was taking one bite out of each. Nobody else can have the donuts, but
well, they
yeah,
could. Yeah,
it was a lot, even just with one bite each. And then I filled up the back.
My favorite, my favorite donut of that trail was the maple bacon donut.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
A Canadian.
And, I'm pretty lucky because there's actually a donut shop close where I live that actually has maple bacon. And it's just as good as that one in Cincinnati.
My favorite one was that one that they made for the cashers. It was like rocks. It looked like rocks and stuff.
Yeah, it was like the chocolate rocks, those little pebble things. Yeah. Like a rocky road or something like that.
It was fun. It was definitely probably the summit at that event was probably my top moment in geocaching so far. Just because, like you said, the amount of vloggers that were there, how even West Virginia Tim showed up. He gave a speech, and then like even what was his name? Chris Williamson, the director of Treasure of the Movie, even showed up, and he gave his little spiel on how he enjoyed all our videos and what we do out there in the world. So,
yeah, it was nice. Josh Johnson, the geocaching vlogger, and I was it Neil, I think, also helped organize. But yeah, they brought in a lot of. Well, I mean, there was a lot of people, but to have that opportunity to talk to experienced people in the filming profession was a nice bonus as well.
There was only 12 donut shops.
That was it.
I felt like there were 16 or so.
It feels like so much more.
Is that the new trail or is that the old trail? Because I think they redid the trail, didn't they?
And remember,
I think they did. I think one of the donut shops dropped out.
Oh, did they? Okay. Either way, it wasn't. I thought it was as many donuts as I saw, and how many hours it took us to get that done. It felt like we were, we started at 4 or 4:30 in the morning and ended somewhere around 11 or 12 or something like that. It took forever.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff, I asked them earlier before the show, did you drive in that night or did you actually spend the night the day before?
No, I drove in. I was an early morning, so you can see at the beginning of the video that I made, it's still dark outside, and I was driving early morning to get down there. It's only a few hours, so it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I was still waking up.
Yeah, because me and my wife, we drove 6 hours. We got there maybe a half an hour before we started the trail.
Yeah.
And yeah, by the time that we all went to the Vlogger Summit and you guys looked for the caches, I would be tired. So
there was enough energy in those donuts for the whole day.
And yes, it is the Butler County Doughnut Trail.
Yeah. Yeah. So there were two trails because there's the Geo Tour series, which is the whole bunch of geocaches that you can do at any time because the caches are outside. You don't have to do anything. You just have to get the information from the cache to log it found and then complete the Geo Tour. And then there's the tour one where you have to go inside and get the signature or whatever it was on the sheet so that you could go to the same location, the tourist bureau, and then complete that tour. And there were a couple of differences. Like I think there were more geocaches in the series than there were on the tour, like the tourism one.
And the donut shops you had to plan right because they all open at different times, like some at 5 a.m, but closed at 12 or when they sold out of donuts. So you had to time it right to visit all the donut shops.
Yeah, to do it in one day.
Especially if you're doing it all in one day.
That's what amazed me is how we were able to finish it all off and get it done before all those started closing up. Because I think towards the end we were hearing that some of the shops we went to were already starting to close up. So
yeah, I think we were fortunate that there was a lot of good planning involved. We had a big group as well, but to make sure that because you have to do the drive estimates as well and how long you can stay at each one, just to make sure that you can get to the priority ones are the ones that stay open for like 2 hours. You have to make sure that you get there probably at opening before they lose everything. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. The other thing that we were talking, Jeff, before you came, before we started was I mentioned that the first donut shop that we started at had a gun shop next to it in the same building. and this police officer was driving by, and he saw all these. He told me he was kind of nervous with Canadian plates, New York plates, Georgia plates, and he's like, "What is going on at the gun shop?" You know, and you know, I let him know that we were there for the donut shop, not the gun shop. So he left, but it was just. He said it made him quite nervous. He was wondering what was going on.
You should have come in for some donuts.
Yeah, well, later.
I'm answering a PAF right now. Sorry.
Oh.
Somebody's asking where one of my caches is. They can't find it.
Oh, phone a friend, yeah.
So.
Well, it's right at the
Tom's call back later.
Give them a shout out so everybody knows.
But is there any other special moments from that Geo-Woodstock or anything like that you guys have? So I know we had.
I came down the day before. I think it was the Wednesday to attend a baseball game at Cincinnati Reds. There's a group of probably about 200 geocachers that went to that game, and that was quite exciting. The neat was my daughter was also at a Blue Jays game at the same time, so we were sending pictures back and forth to each other at the games that we were at.
Nice.
That's different. I've never seen.
I got there on Wednesday, and prior, and I went to every single event that they had. I had gone to my first Geo-Woodstock was in Asheville the year before, which is where I met you, Dan, for the first time.
Mm.
And then I did the Cincinnati one, and I thought I have to say Jesse and his crew put on one heck of a week-long celebration. Basically, there was something to do every day, 2 or 3 things to do almost every day that you couldn't even. If you did all the stuff, you couldn't even barely geocache. I think the Doughnut Trail, as much as I wanted to do it, took away from a lot of other things that I wanted to do as well, because there was just so much to do. So.
All I remember is Geo-Woodstock day. Pretty much all of Saturday was the vlogger booth.
Yeah.
It's like it was just hanging out there, and the fun part is meeting the community, meeting people. We had the Plinko game going, and draws and giveaways, and I think it was during my slot I did the constant live stream from the booth, and that was fun to do. Man, trying to keep active for that whole time, doing little tours and saying hi to people, meeting other vloggers, getting them on there. It was pretty fun, but a lot of people tuned in and a lot of people watched. I think the one mistake I did was doing a giveaway on the live stream for people who'd be watching, where you'd have to come and find me to get the prize. But if you're there, you're probably not watching the live stream. That didn't quite work out very well.
We definitely had a lot of people abuse. As soon as people find out you get a free prize, they're going to come to you. Yeah. And we had all those free prizes. We had a ton of donations for that, for sure.
Yeah. There was a lot of traffic at the booth. It was really good.
And then to top it all off, they added a lab cache at our booth as well. So. Mm-hmm. So we were busy. So that even drew even more people in, because they kind of had to be there if they wanted to get that portion of the lab cache.
Yeah.
So
I remember having to tell people that it was on a camera.
We had to move the screen because people were congregating to watch the video to find the clues, but blocking the line for the giveaways, to look at the giveaways, or to play the game and to look at the giveaways. It was just a big mess of people. So we had to turn it the other way to move that crowd around behind the table so that there was it was clear in front.
The part about that is I didn't get one single lab cache.
Yeah, same.
I didn't get, because I was busy at the table with you guys, and and I didn't get any of the lab caches there at all.
See, that's what's good about Erin, how she caches with me. She usually goes out, like, even at going caching, if I'm doing something, she could go out and do something that I could be doing, but she gets the finds, and then I could do what I need to do. So
you've got the benefit of team caching.
Yeah. So what do you think your chances are to come to going caching this year, Jeff?
Probably not all that good. Top priority is Mingo Madness, and if I can't get over the border for that, then it might not look so good for going caching either. I think it really depends on how Canada and the U.S. get along with that whole border thing.
We'll know after the presidential election, I guess. I don't know. I do. I'm so close. I'm an hour from Kingston, and so it's not a big deal for me just to cross the border quickly and grab some caches and come back. And now I can't even do that. Like I cached all along, the border a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to just cross the bridge, and I knew I couldn't. So, the first to finds are even potential up there for me, and I can't grab those.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to do eventually is I want to try to have, I want to do a puzzle eventually when I get a chance, when I get to sit down and actually work it out, where they have to go to each vlogger's page and get a piece of information from each vlogger to solve the puzzle.
That would be interesting if you could do that. I'm not sure if you could, because they might look at it as promotional.
Right. Yeah.
They're very iffy about YouTube stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If the video has a puzzle in it, like that's the puzzle, then that's usually allowed. But they're very strict about moving traffic to YouTube.
Even though they promote YouTube now compared to what they used to.
But now they've. But the funny thing is, they've included that one screen in the lab app's cache, the lab caches app, and it says Discover, which brings you to a bunch of YouTube videos on lab caches.
Yeah.
However, that part of the app hasn't been working for the last week.
Yeah, I think that the Adventure Labs team, maybe with the marketing department, thought that allowing other vloggers who do that kind of good 101 style content would draw more people into the app as well. So I think it's good that they're in that, at least in that context, they are allowing more social media content not from themselves.
Yeah, I thought about it, but like I said, I didn't know how they tend to it, and then you probably gave me the answer. You probably knew more about it than I did, so.
I'm one of those people that believes if you throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks, it's not a bad idea. I mean, you might get away with it. You never know.
Yeah. Well, they did that with geocaching challenges, and it didn't stick.
Right. Yeah.
How long did those last? That was like a 6-month thing, wasn't it, when they had the challenges?
Yeah, somewhere around there. It wasn't more than a year.
I know you got an icon by your friend count, and then when the find count, it just disappeared one day, and I was like, what happened?
There was so much drama about that. Yeah, because they originally counted geocaching challenges as fines, and then so many people hated that, so they separated them out, and then there was still drama about that, and it was one big chaotic mess.
It was more like a virtual in a way. It was like they were trying to.
I think a lot of people were also getting.
What was that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were getting confused between actual challenge caches and the challenges that Groundspeak put out.
That too, yeah.
They still are. I just found a geocache the other day that in my video will come out eventually here, but I question whether it's a multi-cache because it had stages, or whether it's a mystery cache. So I was asking, like, it looked like a multi-cache to me, and it acted like a multi-cache, but how, I was trying to figure out how it's a challenge. And I think that's the problem with some of the challenge caches, is they can kind of be a little of everything.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, I try to refer to them as like geocaching challenges and challenge caches just to help distinguish them, and usually capitalize the letters, so it's like a proper name. But yeah, because there's that confusion with challenges and the geocaching challenges, and I think it was even called geocaching challenges in the guidelines. I don't know. Either way, yeah, they were around for a little bit, and my opinion on them is that they had so much potential, They were flexible and people could be creative and all that, but it was way too loose. There was no reviewing. There was no management. Very kind of similar in that sense to Adventure Labs, but it was not enough and hugely flexible. So people weren't super creative. So we had really kind of quick, cheap ones that people kind of mocked because they were ridiculously simple, like take a picture of yourself with a frog or something like that. But you could have really informative, interesting geocaching challenges as well that could take you to really cool places, and you got to take a photo of something or doing something in order to claim it. And so it, again, in that sense, it's very similar to Adventure Labs. I kind of see Adventure Labs as Geocaching Challenges version 2, only improved, much more improved. So
They're sort of like the original virtuals. These people would have you go to a stop sign and say, what sign is right here? They just got too overrun too quick.
mm,
Well, even those are sketchy now. I found one from 2000. I found a virtual the other day from 2004, and it wasn't a virtual anymore. It was an actual geocache that you had to sign. And the guy said, well, they kept on changing the rules, so I'm just making it an actual geocache, but it's still listed as a virtual. Oh, that's odd. Okay, so I got a virtual from 2004 that I actually had to sign the log.
I've seen there was another one that was kind of like that, but the other way around. Like it was a traditional, and then the report was there was no physical container anymore, so you could log it if you.
Well, yeah,
and it basically became a virtual, even though it was physical, and that showed up in the forum, and shortly after it was dealt with.
It's weird how they. I mean, do you remember the locationless caches? Jeff, you've been around for a while. You've probably done those. No?
No, I started after locationless finished.
Oh,
just
really?
after. I think no, wait. I think there were like one or two when I started. And I didn't really know about them, didn't think about them until they were done, and then I couldn't do them. I think that's what it was.
Have any of you got any of the caches, like what are they called? The roaming caches, where I think some of the
Traveling?
the traveling caches. Does anybody have any of those or no?
I found one at an event one time. Somebody brought it. Yeah, it was a walking stick. And you could, but now they converted, I think, at Geo-Woodstock in Asheville. They had converted it into a travel bug instead.
Yeah.
It was one of the original traveling geocaches.
Yeah, I think they had to do that now. Like they made the change so that all of the traveling caches were changed to travel bugs if they wanted to, or they were archived.
Right.
I think when I first heard about them, that was when I looked at the list of official traveling caches, and none were nearby. We actually have a cacher in our area who has a similar one. Basically, it was a traveling cache. I think that he just converted into something he takes to events where I don't know if he uses an Arduino. I think he does, but it is a box where he's set coordinates somewhere around the event, and if anybody wants to, they can take the box and try to get it to the location in order to open the box and basically sign the trackable log, I think it is. So he's got one of those reverse caches, which is kind of neat.
Now, is there any caches in your area? I've found one of these before. It's in our area. I don't know if it's still around or it's been archived, where you go to the cache location and actually the person before you hides the cache in a different location. It has a main location as like a puzzle, but then you go to find the last person that found it, puts their own set of coordinates in for the next person to find it in the park. I don't know if you guys have anything like that in your areas.
Is that allowed or grandfathered?
It's been a grandfather. It's older cache.
No.
I had heard of those, but I've never done one. I don't think I would like it.
What it is that they have a set park and like something.
Yeah, I've never done that either. But
go ahead.
Sorry. I have found a cache. It was a mystery cache where there's a key that it's a travel bug that has travel within 80 kilometers of the location of the mystery cache. Yeah. So you have to find a travel bug with the key to find the mystery cache.
Yeah. Those are kind of okay, but they're still kind of annoying. It all relies on whoever's got it putting it somewhere fast.
I'm trying to think of something. If you guys could pick, I know you don't. You guys have tons of favorite caches, but if there's one that sticks out specifically, that's not really a favorite, but it brings back like a memory or something like that. Is there any caches out there that you have out there that are like that? Like it's not. It doesn't have to be necessarily like a well done cache. It's something that was like brings back probably a great memory that you had caching. Because I know, like I've had a micro.
One of mine is actually an event I attended.
Go ahead.
Sorry, one of mine is an event I attended about 11 years ago, and it was at the highest point of land in Ontario, which is quite remote. It's north of Sudbury, Ontario, probably about an hour drive on logging roads. And 28 cachers attended the event. Some flew in by float plane. The group I was with, we canoed up to the trailhead, ATVs, but it was amazing. It was middle of October, Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, and weather was perfect, like 20 degrees, and it was just amazing, like being at the top of Ontario.
Ishpetina Ridge. Not very spectacular as a height, but it is altitude-wise the highest point in Ontario. I heard about that one, but that was kind of that event was a lot closer when I started, so I wasn't really much involved with the community. I wish I'd gone. That's a 5 terrain event. That was
Really? Wow.
What kind of trail were you guys on today? What kind of trail were you guys on today? He was talking that you guys got some first to finds today.
Yeah, there's a couple of GeoArts in kind of central Ontario-ish. One of them is an 81 cube. So they've got 81 caches, all unique DTs and legitimate DTs. The difficulties literally range from a ROT 13 message in the description to 5 difficulty puzzles nobody's solved yet, and there's tons of them. So there's that GeoArt, and then there's another one nearby, which is kind of a Nookshook. That statue that's made of rocks, and that is a combination of traditionals and multis and mysteries, and it's kind of in this wilderness area, so lots of lakes and water and streams and stretches of land and forest and large moraines and rocks, and so it's a conservation area, and it like, I don't know how they made the GeoArt, but they just, all those traditionals, all those physical caches are literally where the art is. So you look at it on the map, and you somehow got to get to all those locations. And same thing with the puzzles. They're all spread around the area. They made a map of all the trails they used to place them, which I can't imagine how many trips they must have done to place them all. How many are there? I think there's probably only like 60 or 70 in maybe tops in the, maybe that's high in the GeoArt, but
I think so. Yeah.
It's not roadside GeoArt. It's like legitimate hikes. We were out for 5.5 hours today.
Wow.
Just to get a handful of them. And it was up and down, a lot of hills and some water, and it was an awesome day. The weather was perfect at the end, and but yeah, pooped.
Now, I know you do your tree caches. You're known for that. You and Zach like the high risk caches, I guess. Like, Has there ever been a time you've been in a tree and you're like, you don't think you're gonna make it down, or that you
in a tree? In a tree, not so much. Some people, I find it interesting. A lot of people, when they climb, have said that they're more cautious going up. No, more cautious coming down than going up. I'm kind of the other way. Like, I don't want to go somewhere that I'm not comfortable coming down against. So I'm going up kind of slower and looking and making sure that if I do that, can I do it in reverse? And so and coming down has always just been so much easier for me. I don't know why. It's like you look down, oh, there's the branch, there's the branch, there's a branch, you know. But not a tree. Mentioning that though reminded me of the foon that I did on the, I think it was 4.5 meter. It was either 4.5 or 5.5 meter high beam across bridge. You know, like an archway type of bridge. So there's like two curves and then a beam going across. And there was a sign on the center top of that beam. And I think it was about, you know, less than a foot wide. And there was a nano on the sign. And it was in the middle of the road. We didn't have any ladders. I was with another friend, but you could climb up the that curved archway on the sign, on the side of either side of the road and get up to that beam. But then you've got to either shimmy across or walk across to get to the sign to get to the nano. I think it was a 4.5 terrain. It wasn't a 5, but and it was kind of late winter, early spring, so it was cold, heavy jacket, and the weather was a little windy. But my friend went down onto the road, and I decided to foon on the beam. That was the worst form foon I've ever done. But yeah, doing that was probably the riskiest, I think, thing that I've ever done. It's like, because you come up on 1 foot, so I'm trying to keep balance on 1 foot, trying to get the arms and the leg up. And I basically said, okay, I'm standing, trying not to vibrate, trying not to wobble, and the wind is coming too. And saying, okay, gonna count, take the picture on go on 1, because I'm only holding 1 foot for like 1 second. So make sure you get it. And even then, like the more that I tried to do it, the more my leg would shake. It was so weird. It was just vibrating. You know, I kind of tell people it's like walking on a line. If you're on, say, a road or a curb or like a yellow line, you can walk it, no problem. You can walk along the line. You can stay on the line without a problem. But take away everything else, so you're just on that beam, it's completely different. It just it plays with your brain. So yeah, it's like
being the height as well messes with your brain a little bit too.
Yeah, you just can't think about the fact if you fall, you're basically breaking everything. But I do not recommend doing that. That was one time, a long time ago. Not again.
Was it an active road too?
Not really. It was rural, and I mean, I think 1 or maybe 2 cars went by while we were there, so that wasn't really a problem.
Do you tree cache at all, David? I don't know if you heard me or not.
No. There's not many tree caches around where I live. I did find one last year. But yeah, if there's a chime cache, I'll get it when I can.
You were in a tree today.
I was just going to say I have no 5. I don't see myself climbing trees. I'm a little top heavy, I think. I'll go up a little bit, but I won't go like Sodak Zach or any of those people. And you know, I don't know how to swim, so I don't kayak. It kind of scares me. And I don't mind heights, but I'm not climbing on a bridge. It's just, I'm too top heavy. You know, my brain doesn't let me do that.
The tree thing isn't so bad, because if I know some really like tall, big, large people who climb trees. It's more just about making sure that you're secure. Like if you can trust your grips, especially if you're doing 3 points of contact, then most people can climb quite a lot of these tree climbs that are out there. We've got some people who have placed tree climb caches that are like terrain 3 and 4, or even 4.5, that are not difficult at all. Like there's a lot of people who'd be able to get them. So you never really know. It's like, yeah, push yourself safely, but you could do it.
I figured if I'm ever going for one of those, I'll bring somebody with me and have them toss the log down to me, and
See, I used to have a cache that I think scared enough people, because it was sort of like those patio blocks that are behind businesses, like the retaining walls, and you could see the cache as you pull up, and you could climb up like 5 feet, and you open up the cache container, but it said it wasn't in there. I said that you had to look over like 10 feet and look up, and it was actually up the retaining wall like a good 20 feet, and you had to climb up the retaining wall with ledges like less than probably 2 inches, and you could get the cache. But a lot of people, what they did was climbed up the retaining wall and went all the way to the top, signed the log, and then went back down and climbed back up again to put it up, because if you went down, if you misplaced your footing, you were going down. And what was bad about it was there was a ditch there, and I said if you went to do this cache, you had to bring somebody with you, because if you fell, it was such a remote area that if you fell, no one would see you if you broke your ankle or broke your leg, and you got to crawl yourself out.
Yeah. And a lot of people now take ladders around with them just in case, because you never really know. A lot of these caches that are placed up high, they're basically made like I don't want to say one terrain, but like they drop a number of stars if you just take a ladder.
Yeah. I thought about that, grabbing one of those collapsible ladders and throwing it in the trunk.
I bought golf ball retrievers. That's what I use. And if it's higher than that, I'm not going anywhere.
Unless they're attached.
Yeah, of course.
Then you have to get to the cache.
And you also have to make sure you're in the right tree. I don't know, was it you, Jeff, or was it Zach or Josh? I thought it was you, but you climbed up one tree and Josh was asking the other. Maybe it was Zach. I don't know. That would make. They climbed all the way up in the tree, and then once they got up in the tree, they realized that the cache was in the next tree over, so they had to climb down.
Yeah, that's happened so many times. Yeah, the worst part is not being able to see it before you climb, and then seeing it after you climb. It's like it's right there. If you were just a few feet closer, you could reach it, but no, you're in a tree.
No, Adam said he doesn't like water, but have you either of you, other David or Jeff, ever found caches underwater at all up there?
Scuba? No, we have
yes.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you heard us.
I found a couple. I didn't actually go in the water myself. I was in a kayak, but there's a lake, fairly large lake called Lake Simcoe, and we got the first find on one where there are actually a couple of geocachers from Southern Ontario. They came up with their scuba gear and went to find. Took about half an hour before they could actually find it. So they brought it up, and everybody on the log.
I can think of two caches that we've got in Southern Ontario. One, we do actually have a scuba cache, and I think it's very rarely found. It's been at least, it's lonely. It's very lonely right now. It's in a quarry. I think there's a lake nearby. Haven't even looked at it, but that'd be a fun one to get, I think. But I think another one that a lot of people really enjoy, we have an old remnant of a ship. I think it's actually shipwrecked there. Can't remember what it's called, but at a certain time of year with the right tools, you can take a canoe around, and then I think inside, I haven't found it yet. I want to. It's it's in the ship. There's a hole in the ship, and it's in there somewhere. That'd be a really nice one to get, because it's an old shipwreck, and it's just off a major main highway. You can drive by and see the ship as you go by. It's really cool. There was one that I guess
I stopped by there.
I think he's got a delay.
Yeah.
There was one I think that I found that was technically.
I stopped by that ship.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, finish off that one.
Sorry, I stopped by that ship last year. I've always wanted it there, but I wasn't the cache because I knew it was somewhere out by the ship. But it was just worth stopping by that ship and take photos of it. It's quite unique. Yeah,
for sure. I'll have to see if we can find the GC on that one and add it to the description or something. But the one I was going to say for that I was technically underwater, it was a 5.5 and one, or was it a one? I can't remember what the difficulty was, but it was a 5 terrain, and we thought, okay, this should be, it was a 5.5. This should be easy because apparently when you were there, well, the water level, it's like in a brook, and the water level changes dramatically, and so the attributes had scuba gear. So we thought, okay, we'll see if we can find it, because other people have found it without the gear, so let's go and check it out. When we got there, the water was about this deep. And so, but the difficulty was high, and I think we had it was either 4 or 5 of us, a group of us, and we were all wading around in this ankle deep water trying to find this cache, which was, I believe, if I recall, it was attached to a rock and underneath something. So there was a whole lot of boulder and stone moving to try to find this container that was hidden under the water. And yeah, apparently if the water level was high on that brook, you would have been completely submerged to get to the cache. So yeah, we'll take that as a 5-5.
You guys ended up finding it?
Yep.
There used to be one out in Massachusetts that was like that. It's actually in the ocean, but the only time you can really get it is when the tide is out. I don't know if it's still there. I was going to look it up, because yeah, you basically got to get out early in the morning while the tide's out, and then huff it back unless you know how to swim really good before the tide comes in. I always had that on my I want to do it list. I wonder if it's still there. That would be fun, I think.
Yeah, there are some like high terrain caches that are legitimately life or death, and those can be really good adventures, but you'd probably only want to do those with either people who have experience or who have found them before, just to be safe. Because yeah, you got to really know what you're doing if you're going to risk your life. Yeah, just for a cache.
That one cache you did a video of when you went down that ice slope and you had to go through the terrain. I forgot, it was like in some cove somewhere. It was, you had to go down that one hill and you had to use ropes to go down the hill. And
right. Yeah. Yeah. That one was, I think, did we think we were going for FTF? No, we weren't going for an FTF for that one, but I think we were the second to find. But yeah, it was out for the longest time, and the coordinates initially were a little off, so people couldn't determine where the cache was, because it was it looked like it was over the edge of a cliff. So everybody's going there. It's like there's no safe way to find this thing. Eventually, somebody found a way around to go down. It was in the Elora Gorge, so you can probably look it up, but it's a very deep gorge in southern Ontario. And so they expanded and followed the cliff line and eventually found a slope that went right down to the bottom of the gorge and managed to find their way across to where the coordinates pointed, and they found the cache. And as soon as that was posted, then everybody was like, oh, okay, we can get the cache now. So we all found the way down. But the thing with the Elora Gorge is it can be, depending on the time of year, it can also be very dangerous, especially around there, because it's very rocky, it's rapids. If it's frozen, you could get stuck under ice. In the summer, the water level is really high. So you've got to find the right time of year, the right kind of weather to go for that one. But yeah, when we went in that video, there was ice along the side, so it was walkable, and the water level was low, and it was an awesome, great location. But yeah, there was a rope we had to use. Well, we brought a rope, one of the guys, and managed to get down. It was great.
I know you mentioned this before in your other video, but like, what's like one area you'd want to cache that you haven't cached before? Like that, because I know some of you you've been to Europe, you've been to like England. Is there one place that you've wanted to cache that you haven't cached yet?
I've always kind of wanted to get up to the north end of Alaska. There's one cache I think it's the northernmost in Alaska, and I just thought it was hilarious because like this is where you have to fly in to the city. There's no road access, and I was just browsing around one day, and I found this 1-1 cache, 1 difficulty, 1 terrain, at the northernmost point of Alaska. And you look at it, it's like there's a building or a small town or something, but there's a road and it's wheelchair accessible. there's a little road trail thing, and right at the end of that one, at least on the satellite at that time, was the cache. That was it. Like, I gotta get that cache. But I don't know, other places. There's like Ireland is gorgeous. There's tons of places I would love to see in Ireland, New Zealand, Antarctica. I mean, there's so many places. It's hard to narrow down to something specific.
Yeah, it would be hard. I'd like to go to a lot of those places as well. I have friends that live in South Africa, so I'm trying to plan before I move on to the other world. Maybe going to South Africa and doing some geocaching there. So that would be fun.
What about you, David?
I would love to. I would love to cache in England. You know, my dad's from England. He's from also Serbia. Would love to go cache in Serbia. I don't think there's a lot of caches there. Maybe just over 100 or so. But those are two main locations I would love to cache.
Do you guys ever go on the caching map and just to look at the virtuals and look at like even just random caches to see if there's any pictures of like the locations where just to see different parts of the world where people are caching?
Yeah, I would say that there's a whole lot of even tourism value just in checking geocaches and what photos are there. Yeah. Like there's all that talk about how geocaching is great for tourism, but you know, it's, if you think about it, a geocache listing is placed by somebody who knows that spot because they either live there or nearby and they own something, they regularly go there, and it's visited and logged by people firsthand, so you get direct information about what the experience is like. I mean, it's perfect for tourism. you don't get like people trying to make money by posting these big blogs about something with ads and everything. It's just, here's what it was like for this person directly. And you've got information about parking, trailheads. Like it's a huge beneficial tool. It's awesome.
What's crazy is somebody contacted me from where Chernobyl happened, and he actually has majority of the caches in the Chernobyl site. And he says they actually have a day where you can go and get them. They have a day adventures that you can go and get them, but they don't want you touching anything else besides the cache container because majority of the stuff is still highly radioactive over there, and they don't want you touching any of the stuff other than the cache container.
Go on that trip.
Yeah, you can find a lot of YouTube videos of people going and like lost places exploration in like Russian locations and Chernobyl and stuff. It's interesting.
Do you guys watch any abandoned video people or no?
Which video people?
The people that do abandoned videos, like the proper people and exploring with Josh. Do you guys watch any of those or no?
Just exploring abandoned places, like
yeah, where they film abandoned.
Really.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos. That would be fun.
There's a Facebook group for abandoned places in Ontario, and they post photos without locations, but photos of a lot of abandoned places. It's risky though, because you've got like private property concerns, and trespassing, and that would depend on country.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I mean, look what happened in Centralia, Pennsylvania. You know, where everybody all these years have been going on that highway, the abandoned highway, and now they sealed it all off. You know, and they're arresting people more for that stuff. So,
one of my first videos was at an abandoned location, primarily because it had the attribute, but it was literally right beside a trail, and the cache owner had double checked that the property was technically publicly accessible. And so that was one of my first videos, was the abandoned structure. Not even quite sure what it was, but you can get in there, and it was like a nano in somewhere in the metal, somewhere in the building. It was awesome.
You did another one out on Lake Erie, didn't you? On an island. It was an old. I don't know. There's a lot of birds. I remember that.
Yeah, there was an old abandoned lighthouse, and I can't remember. I think it's a historic location. I think it was attributed that, but it's like run down. It's just the stone that's left, but it's closed for nesting season, and we managed to get there just before nesting season started. And there was still ice on the lake, but it was a perfect day for it. It was clear water. We could get there. And there was still a lot of birds. And the lighthouse itself was just awful. Because all the birds, they hang out at the top of the tower. And so you know what's at the bottom of the tower. And it's just, but it was really cool.
You had boots on, if I remember correctly. You also did one of your foons there.
Yeah, there was yeah, because we were there for the whole day. We found the place where the cache was supposed to be, but hunters, I guess, had taken it, and but it was so beautiful there at the time because there was bits of ice around the water. The island itself, the water level was low, so there was a lot of land. The stone, the ground was covered in fossils and natural structures and things like that. And so we were just taking pictures for a few hours, and eventually the sun was setting. And part of that video, which I loved so much, was I had enough zoom that you could see the sun at the horizon, and you could see it just slowly setting. So I had to put that in there because you could see it just disappear below the horizon. It was awesome.
One of my favorite videos. I like the video.
Thanks.
Have any of you had any interesting encounters with the law enforcement at all?
Yeah, on the Doughnut Trail. Other than that, I think the police have been okay with me since 2003. It's security guards that I have biggest trouble with. You know, I don't know how they are in other states. I know in South Carolina they're a little bit more respectful, but here in New York, security guard automatically makes you think you're a cop. So you can go out there and they start, yelling and screaming and what are you doing here? And I think I put it on one of my videos where I called it no trespassing. And I had this I had the website up that says that the camp director said that, geocachers can go on there when it's closed. But at the front, there's a big sign that says, by order of the sheriff's department, do not enter. So I made the decision to go, and then the security guard came out of nowhere, yelling and cursing and getting my license plate number and everything. I never put that video. I wanted to, but I never put the video up of him and all the trouble he gave me, just because I was like, well, it says right here that I can go, and I don't care what that says. It's okay, so. The police haven't really bothered me as much as security guards have.
What about you, David? Have you had any encounters?
I had a couple times. I was just walking to a cache in a park, and a police car pulled up. I said geocaching. I drove off. Another time with security, was going for a first to find, and it was outside of a gate of the old, used to be a mental hospital, and it was closed off. It's an abandoned place, so they get a lot of people going in there to steal like that. So immediately when I was finding the cache, they're questioning me, taking my license plate, but no other issues in that.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, a few. It's kind of casual. Nothing significant. I think one of the benefits of plastering your vehicle with geocaching stuff is it backs up your story. I have actually found that. So I recently bought this orange bright vest with reflectors and stuff, and I think that is not only good at making you camouflage in real life. Everybody thinks you belong where you are, but I think it helps with law enforcement as well, because if you're wearing bright orange with reflectors, it's like you're not trying to be hidden and covert. You're like you basically know what you're doing. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was doing roadsides, and it was after dark, and I was finding a cache, and then this car pulled up slowly and then stopped, and then this bright spotlight shone on me, and then I heard the lady's voice, and she was asking if I was good, if I was what I was doing. She's like, oh yeah, geocaching. And she's like, oh, okay, have fun, and drove off. I'm like, well, I'm wearing these bright reflectors, I could be a farmer looking in the side of the road and fixing things. Yeah.
Now, were you guys ever able to get the I know they had them out. I don't know if they still have them out. Those Ontario license plates with the geocaching symbol on them. Mm-hmm. Are those still available or no?
I think they were put on hold. Yeah, Dave might know as well. They put on hold because they. I
think they still are.
Yeah, they changed the design of the plate but then they recalled the plates because there was issues with the design, which I think a lot of people saw from the very beginning. So I think hopefully it'll come back for more, but I think it depends on what happens with the updated design. I managed to get one with a custom plate, the iCache.
Now, was that just like, I'm trying to think of the words for this. Was yours the only province that did that, or was there all other Canadian provinces that had it as well?
Yeah, I think Ontario is the only one that does that. I mean,
I wish they do it.
Just Ontario.
Yeah, you could get custom plates obviously anywhere, but I think the graphic was something that Ontario did. I don't know if other provinces have custom icons that you can put on there, but the interface is really nice to be able to choose it. And I mean, it gets expensive if you do everything custom, like your own graphic and the text, like a custom plate, vanity plate. But the partnership with Ontario, the government, was to have, I think the graphic was optional, but you could get a geocaching. No, I think it was the geocaching plate with the icon and 2 numbers, 2 letters, and 2 numbers, and the 2 letters are GC. So 2 numbers, GC, and 2 numbers. That was the standard template, but you could get a vanity plate if you wanted to. And the vanity plate obviously costs a lot more, but yeah, I'm not sure if I think there are some. Dave, do you know?
I think they still are available because the design of the new license plate, they weren't including graphic license plates yet. So I believe you can still purchase them.
I wish they'd make them around the country.
Yeah. The issue with the new design is that they used the color geocaching logo, so the 4-color square, and the new design was white lettering on the blue background, and the graphic just clashed, so it didn't work with the new design. As soon as they came out with a new design, I'm like, why not just use the white version of the single color logo? Then you can do it. But
I don't think New York will ever have one because when they have their custom plates, it's like a donation to an organization, and since we don't really have an organization, then it won't happen. So it'd be nice, it'd be cool to have, but.
I had a funny thing happen when I lived in New York. I actually had somebody had the same license plate number as me, and my car would show up the wrong thing for some reason. I don't know how they did it.
Oh, I'd be speeding everywhere.
But I got pulled over a couple times because the tag didn't match the car. So
yeah, they should be able to tell what state you're from at least.
Well, they could tell I'm from New York State, but they couldn't tell because my license plate matched. It would show sometimes up as another vehicle, so it would look like I had a stolen vehicle in a sense.
Yeah.
So.
Goofed up.
And it also actually made me almost get a suspended license because of it. Because for 3 months, whoever had the same number, they took their insurance off the vehicle, and it showed that I had no insurance on the vehicle, even though I did. So.
License plates are made in the old Auburn prison, so maybe somebody was in there playing around.
I think it's when New York State transferred from the blue and white plates to the yellow and blue plates.
Yeah,
that's when it got screwed up right there because they were making some numbers the same as the other numbers.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
So, is there anything else you guys would like to share before we end the night?
Well, I hope this whole coronavirus thing ends so that we can all go out and get together again sometime. I don't want to wait till 2021. And I'm tired. Even though I'm out of my house, my job being a nurse, I'm just tired of being cooped up in the house. So, or even geocaching completely alone. I'm finding remote trails, which is great. But yeah, it's lonely out there. You don't see anybody for miles. I did 10 miles on the Erie Canal in a section, on my mountain bike the other day, and I didn't see but one person the entire 10 miles, which is weird.
Are you still planning on doing your game night, Jeff, or no?
Yes, that is going to be coming up very shortly. Ran through a test playthrough of Cash Me If You Can, and it worked out very nicely. And so very shortly, I'll get the setup again and announce when that's going to happen. And it'll be kind of a demo playthrough for anybody who hasn't played the game or hasn't seen the game. And there will be a giveaway. Woohoo! So from DPH Games. So that will be an announcement coming very soon.
Do you have anything to share, David, before we sign off?
Well, this COVID-19, I hope it ends soon, and you kind of hooked on getting the first defines every month now. So, let's hope things open up.
All right, I'm gonna share one last thing. I know most of you know who Thomas Learned is, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna be putting a link in the description below. He has his Heart Foundation charity thing that he does for the American Heart Walk. I'll put it in the description below. He's looking for people to donate money while they can for the Heart Association. So I'll leave that in the description below. So if anyone wants to donate any money to his cause, it'll be in the description below.
Awesome.
So, all right, I want to thank you all for joining me on this chat tonight. So thank you, Jeff, Adam, and David.
Thank you.
I had fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, chatters who were there.
All right. I'm going to end us off for the night. See you guys all out there later.
Take care.